Specflow tutorial part 15, data table, create set and a comparison. In part 14, we have learned about a data table create instance. So in this session, we are going to learn about how to create a Specflow data table and add in information. We are going to also learn about how to create a set for multiple data sets, and then we are going to convert a data table to the list. At the end, we are going to compare two data tables. So let me flip to project to understand with an example. Right now we have this particular project, which is this Specflow session project, and this Specflow session project we have created in the previous sessions. If you have not watched those sessions, how I created and what all feature file present in that particular Specflow session project, then I request you to watch that particular session. So here in this particular session, what we are going to do is we are here on this particular notebooks page. We are here on this particular knob commerce, which is this notebooks page. So what we are going to do is we are going to fetch all the information. We are going to scan all these notebooks. We are going to fetch the information related to the name of the notebook, and then we are also going to fetch the information related to the process. After fetching the information, we are going to create a data table, and then at the end we are going to compare the values. Those are present in this particular web page. Just to speed up the process, I have already added a one feature file, which is this product feature, and then I have also added the steps as well. So here in this particular step, I'm saying then user fetch all the product information. In this particular step, what we are going to do is we are going to fetch all the products, and then we are going to create a data table. After creating the information in the data table, what we are going to do is these are the different steps. So these are the information which the user is going to provide it with a different combination. That information we are going to compare it with the data table which we have fetched it. Or in the other sense, we can say we are going to compare the information. Those are present in this particular web page, which is related to a notebooks. So when we talk about the step definitions of these steps, I have also added the step definitions of these steps. So right click, go to definitions. So this is a class which is this a products class, which is this product steps class, and this product steps class is present inside this Specflow session. So here it is a product steps class. So this product steps class is having a constructor, and inside the constructor we have a three parameters. So one is a driver, feature context, and the scenario context. So we are creating the object, or you can say we are getting the object with the help of this constructor injection by using a dependency framework. So right now we have this web driver as an parameter. We are assigning this parameter value, which is this iWebDriver value, to the class level variable or class level object which we have declared it iWebDriver. So we have added a few more methods here related to fetching the information. So when we are saying user fetch all product information, so we are using this particular method to fetch all the information. So we are going to write a piece of code to fetch all the product information. So we have another method related to a get web element. So with the help of this get web element, we are using a WebDriver wait. We are using a WebDriver wait, and with the help of this WebDriver wait, we able to suppress the synchronization issues between application and the code. We are using WebDriver wait, and inside this WebDriver wait, we are ignore exceptions type method, and as an argument we are passing a different element not visible exception. So this ignore exception type help us to suppress the elements or suppress exceptions. Those are coming whenever we are trying to find the elements. We are using until and then expected conditions. So we have also added few of the web elements on the top of the class, which is this product class, which is having all products, product name, and the product price as well. So whenever we are talking about finding the elements, first what we need the XPath. So let's copy this particular XPath, which is having all the products, and we can go it here inside this particular website. So whenever say control F, control V, it is going to list down all the items. So this particular XPath is going to provide all the items of those are having the products. So when we commit here, we have a one method, which is this user fetch all the product information. So we are going to add, or you can say we are going to fetch all the information related to these products. We are going to fetch the product name and the price, and then that information we are going to save it in the table as well. So first, what we need a table. We can create a table by using a table class of this particular tech talk Specflow. Let's use this. Provide the name as a product table, and then we are going to initialize it. So this is a table class. As an argument, what all things we need, we can provide the different parameters as well. So this is going to take a headers as a parameter. So when we're talking about the headers, whenever we create any table, we need to have the headers as well. So let's have a headers here. It is saying string of a array type. What we need to do is we need to declare a string here, and what we are going to do is we are going to provide the values here. So we are saying product name, and we can also provide the name as the price as well. So right now we are getting a syntax error because we need to convert this to array as well. So that's it. So we have created a one table, and inside this particular table we have added two columns. One is a product name and it is a price. So what we need to do is we need to have the same column name as we have added it here. So instead of having a product name, so we can have the notebooks so that we are able to compare it well. So we have the price name here. So this is the price and this is the price. We're writing the tables. What we need to do is we are going to loop out all these particular items. We are going to fetch these items. We are going to iterate it. So let's commit here. We are saying for int I is equal to 1, then I is less than equal to all products, and all product is going to return the count. So this is the integer value which you have added. It is going to find all the elements, then it is going to return the count. So now after returning the count, we are going to say I++, and then we are going to have this particular for loop. We are going to iterate all these items, and then we are going to get the information related to a different details which you have it. We are going to get this product title, which is this particular title, and here if we commit here, we are going to get the information related to a prices as well. So we are going to fetch the information. I have already added the X paths related to a product name and then the product price as well. So we are going to iterate all of them one by one and to get the information. We are going to iterate all the notebooks, and then we are going to fetch this product name and the product as well. So here, instead of having an iWebDriver find element, we can use this getWeb element and pass the by as well. So let's use this just to suppress any sync issues here. We can use here as well related to a getWeb element. So we have this getWeb element, product name, and the product price as well. So whenever you are talking about the product name, so what we need to is we need to call this particular product name, get the text as well. So here we have the product name, and as a parameter, as an argument, we need to pass this I as well, because that is the index value. We have a multiple products, we have a multiple notebooks, so that's the reason behind it. We are passing this index here with the help of the lambda operator. After it, we are going to use a text property to get the information. So what we are going to do is, after getting the name of that particular product, of that particular notebook, we are going to add the information in this particular TB product. We are creating a table of the Specflow, and here is a add row. Add row is a method which is accepting the information related to a different columns. Now, if you talk about the product price, we can also use the product price the same way. We need to pass the I as well at the index value. We can also use a trim. So let's use the trim at the back of the product price as well, just to remove the any spaces at the end as well. So this for loop is going to iterate all the values, all these notebooks, and then it is going to get the values related to a title and then the price. And with the help of this particular for loop, we are adding all the information in the table as well. So let's do one thing. Let's have a console.writeLine. We are going to use to see how many values we able to get the information. So here it is. We are going to put a debug point here. So let's commit here. Whenever you want to invoke the test cases, we need to go to the test explorer, and here inside this Specflow test, we have a product feature as well. So this is a verify computer product information. Right click and say debug. As opened this particular browser, it is going to navigate to this particular notepads as well. It has moved it here inside the notebooks, and we can see we have reached it here. So let's hover mouse on this TB we are able to get all the information related to a headers. We have the two headers and we have the row count is equal to 6. If you talk about the row, we have a different values as well. So here it is the information related to a key, which is this notebooks and the price. And when we talk about the values, we have this information. So with the help of this particular piece of code, with the help of this loop, we able to get all the information, and then we have saved it inside this particular TB product. So after fetching the information in this particular step, we are going to compare in this particular step as well. So these are the information which the user is expecting, that these information should be available on this particular page as well. We expect the notebooks and the price. So what we are going to do is we are going to do the comparison, which we are fetching it here inside this particular user fetch all product information with the help of this information which the user is providing it. So when we talk about a comparison, if you talk about the Specflow provides two ways to do the comparison. One way is we can use a compare set, another is a two projection. So first we are going to see how we are going to do it, the comparison with the help of the compare set. So what we are going to do is we are going to do the comparison here. It is saying the product notebooks information should match. So you can say right click, go to definition. So whenever you want to have the compare set, or whenever you want to use a two projection method of a table, what we are going to do is we are going to first create a one class, and that class is going to hold the information. We are going to create a class, right click and say add class. Here we can give the name as a product information, and if you talk about the product information, let's convert this to a public as well, and then we are going to add a two properties. So if you talk about adding the two properties, we have a two columns. One is a notebooks, another is a price. So whenever you are going to do the comparison, so we are going to create a two properties. One is a notebooks with the same name as we have it here inside the tables. One is a notebooks and another is a price. So let's commit here. So whenever we are talking about the properties, we are going to use a string. We can use notebooks, and then it is going to have a getter and setter. We are also going to use another one related to a price as well. We are declaring it right now as a string because we are having the different information related to dollars as well. So better is to declare this particular as a string. We cannot declare it as an integer as well. So now if we are talking about this particular class, the class is ready. What we are going to do is whenever we are coming it here inside the product sets, we are going to do the comparison. We are going to do the comparison, the value which the user is passed this and the values which you have fetched it. Now if we talk about this fetching the values, whenever we come to the next step, we are going to lose the information. It means when we have moved out from this particular method, whatever the values which we have saved it inside this particular product, we lost the values. Then what we need to do is we need to save the information in a scenario context, so that whenever we move from one step to the another step, we able to get the values as well. So we already have a scenario context. So this is a scenario context. A scenario context helps to save the information, and wherever you want, you can use it in all the steps of the scenario. Let's use this scenario context as a key. What we need to provide it, we need to provide the name, and right now we can say notebooks and the values which we have saved it. So that's it. So this scenario context is having the information related to products which we have fetched it from the website. Now whenever we commit here, we are going to get all the information. So here we can say table, we can have the notebooks. Now if you talk about fetching the values, we have saved the values in the scenario context. Then we are going to use this sc to fetch the values. We need to provide the key, and what is the key which we have used it? We have used it related to a notebooks. So let's commit here. We can see this is the notebooks which we are providing it. Right now we are getting a syntax error. We need to cast the values because we are saving the values in the table which is of a Specflow. It means we can use a table of the Specflow to cast it. So that's it. Now there is no syntax error. So we have two tables. One is a notebooks and the values which are coming it from the outside. We can use this table dot we can use a compare set method. So this compare set method is accepting a one argument. So let's have this. It is saying we need a product information. So this is the product information, because whatever the values, those are coming it in the table, those are coming it in the form of the rows. We are going to use this table dot, and we can use this create set. So we can use this create set. What is the information we are going to use it? We are going to use this information to compare the values. So this is going to throw a runtime exception if the values does not match. So instead of having this table, we need to use a notebooks, because we are comparing the values. So let's put this inside a try and catch block, and let's have the catch. We are saying exception E, and then we are going to add this particular statement inside this particular try and catch, and we can also have this console.writeLine. So we can say e.message. So whenever we talk about this compare to set method, so this compare to set method is going to compare the values, whether the row is present in that particular sequence or not, but it is still going to compare it. Take an example of, we are here in this particular scenario. If this value existed in the 7th or 6th order of the other table, then still it is going to match it. So let's do one thing. Let's have a debug mode, run it in a debug mode to check how it works. We can put a debug point here, as well as we can put a debug point here as well in our two scenarios. Now let's go and invoke this, right click and say debug. This is a positive scenario. We are not going to get any of the exception. It is going to compare all the values. It has opened this particular website. It is going to navigate to the notebooks page as well, and then it is going to stop the debug mode. It is going to stop the debug mode. So if we click on this particular continue, it is not going to throw any of the error, because there is no mismatch exists. So let's do one thing. Let's make a slight change. This existed at the bottom. Let's change it, the order, and when we commit here, let's put it here. So if we commit now, right click, say debug. It has opened this particular browser. It is going to go to the notebooks box, and then it is going to fetch the values. We have reached it here. We are not going to get any of the error, even though we have this particular item, which is this notebooks at the bottom of that. So now if we click commit here, click on continue, we have reached it here. Now let's close this in a debug mode. And if you want to check the sequence of the orders as well, we can pass a value here, which is this true. It is going to match the sequential equality. In this sequential equality, if you are making it true, then the first row of this table should be equal to the first row of this notebooks. Now if we go and run it, we are going to find a runtime exceptions, right click, say debug, and it is going to fetch all the values. We have reached it here. So if I press continue, we are going to commit here inside this particular catch block. So we are getting the message related to this particular, we are getting a runtime exceptions, because we have matched it, because we have added this as a sequential, because we want to match the order as well. So this compare to set method helps to compare the equal numbers, or you can say this compare to set method is an equivalence partitioning. So whenever we are talking about the feature file, take an example of right now, we are passing these number of records to compare it from that particular page. These records in a different sequence, till this compare to method, which is this compare to set method, is going to compare it. Is this possible if we remove a one record and provide all these particular 5 different type of the records those exist on the page? Is this possible? Is it going to perform a contains operation? Let we go and check it out. So right now we can put a debug point here. So let's have a debug. Go it here, right click and say debug. It has opened this particular browser, and it is going to fetch all the values, and then we are going to compare it. So now we have reached it here. If we press continue now, where it goes, it is going to commit here. So let's click on continue. We are getting a runtime exceptions, because this compare to set method is for an equivalence partitioning. Whatever the number of rows which are present inside this particular table, that should be present in this particular notebooks table. The rows can be in a different order, the sequence can be different, but it should have the same number of rows. If we are passing a one less record from here, one less row, then it is not going to compare it. Then what is the other way? So instead of using a compare set, we can use another method. So that method is related to a to projection. So let's commit here. So we are saying table, and we have another method related to a to projection. So to projection is a method which helps to check the functionality related to a contain. So till now we guys were using a compare to set method. So this compare to set method is checking the equivalence partitioning. It means whatever the number of rows which is present inside a table, that should be present inside notebooks table as well. But whenever we are going to use two projections, let's use this two projection, it is accepting a type, and the type we are going to provide it, we are going to provide the name of the class where we are going to save the information. So we are using a type here because what we want whatever the values, whatever the rows, those are coming it here inside this particular table, that should be created or that should be converted to the class object, which is this product information. So this product information is having a different fields. So whenever we are saying table to projection a product information, it is going to convert all the rows and it is going to fill this particular information in the form of the object of the class, which is this product information. Then we are going to use a method related to accept, and inside this accept we are going to use a notebooks table as well. Notebooks dot we are going to use a to projection to a product information. So what we are trying to do it here, so with the help of this accept method, we are checking it all the records those are presented here should be present inside the table. It is a possibility that this table can have a 6 record and this notebook can have a 1 record. If notebook's record is present inside the table, then this accept method is going to return 0. If notebooks is having a 1 record which does not exist it here inside this table, then this accept method is going to return 1. If this notebook particular table is having a 2 records or 2 rows which does not exist in this particular table, then this accept is going to return a count of 2. So what we are going to do is we are going to use a count method. Count should be equal to 0, and then we are going to use a assert statement. Let's use this assert, and we are checking is true as well. So what we are doing it here, we are checking it if count is equal to 0 from this particular statement, then it is true. If we have any record which does not exist it inside this table which is present inside a notebook, then we are going to get a count and then we are going to fail it. So it in this way we are going to perform a contains operation. So let's do one thing, let's have a rerun. Right click and say debug. We are going to invoke or we are going to execute this particular test case in a debug mode, and we are going to check the assertion here as well. It has opened this particular website. It is going to fetch all the information related to notebooks. Now let's do one thing, instead of running it complete is true, we are going to run this particular statement in an add watch. Right click and we can say add watch. So right now whatever the rows are presented here inside this particular table, inside this particular feature file, those presented here on this particular website as well. So in case if any record does not exist, suppose we are going to update the value here. So let's update the price. We have updated the price, and now if we go and invoke this, so let's stop this and then invoke it again. It has opened this particular website, again going to fetch all the information, and then it is going to go in the debug mode as well. So we have commit here, so we are here inside this particular debug mode. So now let's do again add watch. So let's commit here, copy, and we can say add watch. Right now we are getting this count as a 1. So it means the record which existed inside this notebook, this notebook table is having a 1 record which does not existed in this particular table. So let's do one thing, let's add a 1 more record, or you can say let's update a 1 more record. This time we are going to get the count as a 2. Let's stop this and we can run in a debug mode one more time to check it, the count of that particular number, that how many notebooks are not present in that particular tables as well. It has opened this particular browser, it is going to fetch all the information, and now we have reached it here. So let's commit here again and let's count it again. So okay, let's count it again here and right click, we can say add watch. Right now we are getting the count is equal to 2 because these two records does not exist it whenever we are fetching the information from that particular page as well. So in this way we can check the information, we can check the things as well. Is this possible the way we guys were doing it, the way we guys were checking it with the help of the compare to set? We are checking, or we were checking with the help of the sequence as well. Is this possible with the help of this to projection? Yes, it is possible. The to projection provides another method, the similar the way it has provided the except method, which helps to check the contains whether the number of records are presented here inside the table or not. For that we have another method. We are saying, let's have a dot, we are saying sequence equals, so whatever the rows those are present in that particular table, that should be present inside the notebooks, or in other words we can say whatever the records those are present inside the notebook should have equal number of records here inside the table, as well as they should be in a proper sequence as well. So instead of using this count, we are going to use a assert statement, because this sequence equal is going to return a bool value if the sequence of the number of records those are present or those are not equal to the notebooks, and with respect to table we are going to get an error. So let's commit here inside the product features. Right now if we see what all the features are here, so let's do one thing, let's remove the price which we have added. If we commit here we can see the sequence Apple, Ansys, HP, and we have the HP, Lenovo, and a Samsung. So let's add another row here and then we are going to check it here as well. So let's run it first a positive scenario, then we are going to run a negative scenario. So we can have it here as well. So right click on this and say debug, and it is going to invoke a browser, and then it is going to fetch all the information and put it inside a debug mode as well. It has opened this particular browser, it has fetched all the information related to a notebook, and we are inside this particular debug. So let's have a add watch, right click and say add watch. Right now we are getting a true. It means whatever the sequence which is present on the page is present inside this particular notebooks, the notebook is having the same sequence. So let's do one thing, let's commit here and remove one record to see what it happens. So right now we have 5 records, and if you talk about this particular website, which is this demo of commerce, it is having a 6 records related to Samsung, which we have deleted it. So now let's commit here and say debug. Moved, and it has fetched all the records related to a notepad, and we are inside this particular debug mode. So right click and we can say add watch. Right now we are getting the false thing related to this particular sequence. We should have the same number of records those are presented here inside the notebook should be present inside the table as well. So in this way we can use two methods of a table which helps to compare things. We can use a compare to set method whenever you are trying to compare it to equivalence partitioning. And if you talk about this to projection, we can use this to projection to have a contains operation, and if you want to check the sequence then you can use a sequence equal method, and if you want to check the sequence here as well inside the compare to set, then we are going to give here is equal to true. So that's it in this session.